Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Big Three, the podcast where we unpack the biggest stories and insights shaping influencer marketing and the creator economy. I'm your host, Ceci. Joining me today is Nick Jacklin, partner at _talent and president of the recently launched Shorthand Studios. Nick has spent 15 years building at the intersection of creator management, content distribution, and platform strategy, leading some of the earliest digital content studios to launching podcast networks to now running a creator services business that works with hundreds of creators. So we wanted to talk to Nick to unpack what it actually takes for creators to build sustainable, lasting businesses. We'll discuss what it actually looks like when creators start operating like media companies, what that shift actually requires, and where the biggest opportunities and the biggest risk live right now. Nick, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you here. How's everything going?
It's going really great. Thank you. Really excited to be speaking with you today.
Before we dive into the main topic, can you give everyone a quick introduction to who you are and what Underscore and Shorthand are focused on today?
Absolutely. Thank you. And you're very generous in your introduction. But yeah, my name is Nick Jacklin. I lead a company at Underscore called Shorthand Studios. Underscore Talent Management today is the premier management company operating in the creator economy, which is now everything, right? When we started the business 5 years ago, it was really focused on what was called creators or influencers. And now it's, includes, comedians, athletes, thought leaders. It's just grown exponentially. And
The economy.
100%. It's the creative economy. That's exactly right. And one of the founding theses of the company was that these creators or artists, as we think about them, needed a different suite of services than creators or actors or these types of folks needed 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And that was the precipice of launching Shorthand Studios, right? And we provide a suite of services for clients. These are Underscore clients, but it's also creators, athletes, media companies now that are outside of the management business. But we do editorial services, we do editing and strategy services, digital strategy and consulting. And it's been a really fantastic business for us.
Yeah.
So we're really excited to kind of get into today and what we think is changing in this ecosystem.
Okay. With actually that brings me to my next question before we go to the main topic, which is creators building businesses that last. Again, you've been in the creator economy in and around the creator economy for 15 years, from that early digital scripted content to then Disney to Studio 71 to now. How does the space look to you right now compared to where it all started?
It's never been so exciting, to tell you the truth. Like, I mean, when I jumped into this business 15 years ago, I was working for a company that Michael Eisner had funded called Vugaru. It doesn't exist in the same way today, but we were doing essentially packaging independent film scripts and creating short form dramas and comedies for the web.
Okay.
We were publishing to places like Hulu. We had some of their first shows, AOL, Yahoo, and it was very experimental. It was a really exciting time and it was an interesting model, but the economics were such that it was very hard to make a real business. And we had successes. We had a ton of successes creatively, but to monetize content on the web at that point or digital at that point was very limited, right? You didn't have the mobile ecosystem that we have today. You didn't have the connected TV ecosystem you have today. You didn't have the monetization levers on YouTube that you have today. So when I think about what's changed in the last 15 years, I mean, just the economics of being a creator in this, in this world have grown exponentially. Right? When I started, a YouTuber, a top YouTuber was making $1 or $3 million a year. That was like the total opportunity size for them across all avenues. We have creators now doing 10 to 100 times that annually, right?
Awesome.
I mean, it's just grown exponentially. It's the challenges have also grown exponentially of like navigating that ecosystem for our client, but just as a creator. But the opportunity is there, and we're really excited to be working with the top creators and artists in this new space.
Nick, let me ask you this. If you had to name something that you think has fundamentally changed, apart from the monetization aspect and the opportunities, is there anything that you feel that has really changed compared even to a couple of years ago?
Yeah, the thing that's changed most recently for us, and I think it's like every month it's getting better, but is the access and ability to interpret data from the platforms, right? So
100%, yeah.
10 years ago when I was at Maker Studios, we had, I mean, a technology team of 100 people building dashboards to try to interpret, understand data that was coming to us from YouTube and our other partners. Today, we can stand up, these data interfaces for our team. It's a managed service. So
Yeah.
we actually fundamentally don't believe that creators have a hard enough job. They don't necessarily need more dashboards that are that have
It's
broad data.
overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming. So what we're doing is essentially on a very individual level for our clients, building systems that allow us to understand, interpret data, and then implement new tactics and strategies daily. Like it's gotten to be that fast. Where before maybe you were looking at data monthly or quarterly. To really stand out and succeed in today's world, you not only have to understand content an audience, but you really need to understand how the platforms are recommending content, how users are experiencing content on these different platforms. And that takes a pretty nuanced approach in every case. So that has changed a lot in the last even 3 to 6 months. Oh, but definitely light years different than 2, 3, 4 years ago.
So data access, technology. What about
Yeah.
AI?
Yeah.
How does AI fit in that conversation?
That's still to be determined.
Okay.
We are not sure that AI is at a place right now, and it can help creators in certain aspects of their businesses, but we don't really believe that even say the AI editing tools out there are necessarily right for building premium brands, right? So when
Yeah.
all the work we do is in service of our clients, we still believe you need, highly skilled editorial, highly skilled people who understand
Yeah.
data, right? You can use AI to maybe bring in some of that data and surface it in new ways, but you really need the best people in the world looking and using that information to create the right strategies and the right tactics, whether it's across any of the platforms we're going to be talking about today. So
Yeah.
I think it is absolutely changing the business. Jury's still out on how and where it'll make the biggest impacts.
Okay. How would you sum everything in one sentence? I mean, if you had to put everything that you just said in one sentence, where do you think the creator economy right now um, is in 2026? Like a tagline for
Yeah,
for this year.
the creator economy is everywhere. The creator
Oh, I
economy
like that.
is entertainment. I mean, it is talked about as a bucket, a subsect, a interesting area of exploration, but the creator economy is everywhere. The one commonality across all traditional Hollywood media companies
Yeah.
that we talk to, and we talk to all of them, the creators is a thing they're all trying to figure out. If you ask them, what are your two or three like high level strategy kind of pillars of 2026? Creators is going to be one of those
Yeah.
three, right? And some, like maybe a Tubi or a Samsung are putting creators at the top, right? And of course, a YouTube. Others, it might be a second tier or a third tier, but it's on the top of everyone's list. So the
Yeah.
creator economy is everywhere. It is media.
Nick, you just gave us a very high level picture of what you're seeing in the space right now. But I'm curious about how all that ties into what you're building at Shorthand today. You've talked, I remember a previous conversation we had where you talked about the fact that creators need to think and operate like media companies. Where does that insight come from? And what did you see happening in the industry that made you feel this was the direction things needed to go?
That is actually something we fundamentally, my business partners and partners at Underscore and executives at Shorthand have believed, I mean, for a long time. I mean, even at the last business we were at, it was always, how do you take a creator who's doing really well on one platform and make them multi-platform, right?
Yeah.
The for us, saying become a media company is multi-channel in the sense of revenue streams, right? If you are a
Yeah.
business, any business that is reliant on one form of revenue from one place, right? And the old model of this is you're a TikToker and you brand
That's
deals
great.
are the only business that you have. You're not doing live streams and getting tips. You don't have any kind of subscription revenue. You don't have passive media dollars like ad revenue flowing to you. That is a precarious place to be. It doesn't mean you can't be successful, but it's a
It's
precarious place
risky.
to be. It's very risky, and you're subject to burnout, right? Because you have to keep, creating more content, different kinds of content. So for us, it's how do we create kind of enterprise value around creators? How do we help them build a sustainable business that they're excited about, right? That's creatively driven, right? And so it's something we've been working on for, the better part of 12 years. Shorthand is where we've really, I think, doubled down and made these huge forward-leaning investments to help creators navigate the different opportunities across social web, across e-commerce. That's paywall. Like, we've spent a lot of time building out very specialized teams. I believe the best teams in the world to help with kind of affiliate marketing and e-com paywalls. So we have a division that helps creators build Substacks and manage Patreon accounts. We're of course on all the social platforms. So we help creators build, manage, monetize YouTube, Facebook, TikTok and Instagram to some degree. The connected TV space we've been very active in for a long time. So that's finding the right way to package and present creator content in places like
Yeah.
the Roku channel and Tubi and Amazon Prime Video, and we've been in Samsung TV Plus. Like, we're very active, and frankly, it takes a lot of kind of resources and a thoughtful approach on how to maximize the value both for our clients but also the platforms, because it has to work for both sides. And I think we've had a lot of success with our approach. And as the ecosystem continues to evolve, we will add additional capability sets to address and make sure our clients are taken care of at Shorthand Studios.
Okay. A question just out of curiosity, Nick. Do you think that creators are maybe in the last couple of years or even more this year finally realizing the need of building multi-platform channels in their IP, building long-lasting businesses? Because I remember a couple of
Absolutely.
years ago that
Mhm.
that shift wasn't still happening.
You're absolutely right. And I think it has been really nice to see places like Net Influencer and other publications talking about the different ways creators are making money, the different places where you can build audience. That has gone a long way to educate creators broadly, right? Because we're doing it on a micro level. At Shorthand, we partner with 500 to 1,000 creators a year, and sometimes when we run marketing programs, it's much bigger than that. But we've been essentially shouting from our rooftops the need to do this across underscore clients, and then the all the work that we're doing at Shorthand. But we can only reach so many people. But it has become
Yeah.
increasingly easier the last 18 months, 2 years, to kind of help sell through our vision, right? I do think you're absolutely right that creators now understand that they do not want a business that's only brands or only,
Yeah.
media dollar. Like, most of the creators we work with today want to be creators. They don't necessarily, some are interested in acting, some are interested in product building, but the creativity that they're allowed and able to do on these social video platforms is a core priority for them. And they want that
Yeah.
to be everlasting, is what I'm saying, right? It's not necessarily a stepping stone to do something else. It might be one pillar of something else, but creators absolutely are focused now on building different channels for audience and revenue.
Okay.
And it's
So we
how the reality is they need partners for that. They either need to
100%.
they need either investment to hire these people, which we help with, or they need partners like Shorthand to take on that additional
Yeah.
editorial capacity or the strategy piece. Like, there's all these different pieces that we try to solve. Shorthand, when we launched Shorthand, one of our internal mottos was to save creators time, to give creators time back so they could focus on their creativity and we can handle the infrastructure. We are not trying to build brands to compete with creators. We are trying to service creators to build their brands. So that's
Uh,
that's where we've been focused.
Nick, back to sort of the media company thesis, the fact that creators need to operate like a media company. What does that actually look like day to day for a creator? what has to change?
I think they need to build teams and or partners that they trust to help them. It's very hard to do as a single person, right? And these creators, these artists are entrepreneurs. It typically starts with one person and they're doing the creative ideation, they're doing the filming, they're doing the editing, they're doing the
Yeah.
publishing. There's only so much of that one person can do and do it at a high level. So for us, what I would say is creators need to either hire and build teams, so invest like we invest, or partner, right? Partner with Shorthand Studios or a service provider in that area so they can focus on the creativity part,
Yeah.
the brand part, and then the overall strategy. And you should have partners, I think, as well on the overall strategy piece, right? You're going to be better served if you have an incredible partner like Underscore Talent, one of our many managers or partners who help creators every day navigate their businesses. How do we build your business? What do we do when? Right? That is a big and important piece because we frequently find clients are trying to do too much at once and by themselves. So it's
Yeah.
how do you cut out the noise? How do you focus on what's going to give you the most value and leverage over the long term? And then how do you smartly partner? And by the way, again, it could be partner with hiring. It could be partner outsourcing some of that work with a trusted service provider.
Yeah. Nick, I'm sure you talk to creators all the time, obviously. I'm curious about in those conversations, what do they mention as their main struggle right now or their main concern? And what's the first mindset shift that you would push them to make?
I think it goes back to what we were just talking about, really. I think what we hear a lot is they don't have enough time. And editing is a big time suck. We get
A
asked
lot.
all the time if we have editors, if we can edit, and it's actually what we built into Shorthand from day one, which was a very large, very skilled editing suite and team, right? And we have a team of editors that just focus on YouTube. We have a suite of editors that really focus on Facebook, another for Snap. It's very specialized skill. And we've hired more editors than I think probably any other position at Shorthand over the last 3 years because we found creators really need that for growing their business, right?
Yeah.
So the platforms frequently demand more content and different types of content. So the creator, again, like they spend a lot of time in editing, and that's not always the most high value place for them to spend their time. So again, what our recommendation would be is, get comfortable with hiring or partnering, right? And
Yeah.
that's not always easy for an entrepreneur who's used to doing everything themselves, right? So it's not
Yeah.
I don't say it lightly, but it's something we hear all the time is these creators understand the vision and where we all believe they should get to. It's just how we get there. And so we spend a lot of time making sure our clients and any creator we talk to is comfortable with the team that's supporting them or the people that they're hiring. I mean, we just spend an exorbitant amount of time finding the right people to help our clients grow their businesses.
Nick, let's talk about content as IP. That's something that we mentioned in
Yeah.
the intersection. And I know that's also another one of the big shifts that you're seeing. Creators starting to treat their content as IP, not just post. What changes when a creator starts thinking that way?
I think it has been such an important a mindset shift for us and for our clients. It just broadens the possibility of what they can achieve, I believe, in the long term. Like we just launched a podcast with Ike Barinholtz. It's called Funny You Ask. It's a trivia format. And it is just an incredible, incredible show. It has great guests. It's funny, it's unique, it's original. And that I believe is, it's a replacement for what's happening in late night. It's a replacement for, how consumers get entertainment and information. And to think, I do think 5-10 years ago, it was, hey, you just need to post a lot on social. It doesn't really necessarily even matter what you post, especially if you're a celebrity, but just, you just need to be active. And we find that a different approach, a more thoughtful approach is finding the right content for that client, whether it's a celebrity or a content creator, and making sure it's really specific and it's really defined to who they are and what they want over the
Right.
long term. When you think about it that way, I think it makes the creation process easier. I think it makes the monetization process and getting brands involved a lot easier. And there will be, if you think about it, like IP and not just post, there's brand extension opportunities, right? So that could be moving to a different platform with that IP or with an extension of that IP, right? It's kind of world building, even if it's kind of unscripted or reality focused. We just we really believe that creators need to think about it as IP, as storytelling, and think about it over the long term, because it's really hard to have one thing pop in today's kind of noisy, feed driven algorithm, right? You really need, like, when we think about piloting shows today, a pilot is 25 episodes, 30 episodes. It's not one. So if you're
Oh,
thinking about it in old terms of just posting, you might do a one video, 5 different types of formats with one each and see what works. That's not how we're developing today. We're developing, we love an idea, we believe in an idea. It's what the creator's passionate about. We will partner with them on 25 episodes, 30 episodes, 50 episodes. Like it starts at 20. So it's a very different development approach, I think. But
okay.
we believe that is what success looks like. Like, we have a client, Kareem Rama, who has Subway Takes, and that was not just an overnight success. He had to spend real time and effort and energy with his creative partners getting that right. And it's paid huge dividends, right? But he always thought about it as IP. He always thought about it as a format, almost very much built for digital and social, but kind of more akin, a creative process, probably more akin to some more traditional stuff than YouTube of old, or social of old.
Yeah. Nick, and let me ask you this. What happens to the creators that are not ready to think about themselves or their content as IP? I mean, if a creator keeps approaching content the way they did even 3 years ago, making posts, chasing the algorithm, what?
I think to sustain that is very challenging over the long run. I think that
Right.
is a short-term approach. I think that is a approach that has a 1 to 3 year time horizon. It doesn't build long-term value. It doesn't build long-term community, is my point of view on that.
Okay.
So I think it works for some people, but I don't think it's lasting. I think you live and die at that point. Your business lives and dies by the algorithm. And they do change, right? What the platforms prioritizes, as we've seen, shifts
All the
in
time.
all the time. It does. It shifts all the time. That's
Okay. How do you help creators navigate those shifts? I mean, staying ahead of those shifts without just reacting to everything that changes or to every new shift.
Yeah, we spend so much time working on that question and that answer. For us, we're in a fortunate position where we, as a business, get kind of data from across, hundreds, if not thousands of data points now, creator shows, creator pages, creator channels, and we can look at that from a macro level, and then from a high level, create strategy that we then implement slowly and sometimes fast, sometimes slow, for our creators. But we think about it sometimes as segmenting in verticals, right? So something might be changing for one content category versus another, which we see on Facebook, like that has changed 3 or 4 times in the last 6 months. Different content categories change. So for our
Yeah.
clients who are maybe more driven by text and photo, there's essentially a different strategy we might roll out for them versus someone who does comedy videos or relationship videos. So
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time like thinking about and answering that question, and there's not one approach. It kind of depends on where the
What
data.
the shift is, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Nick, and since we're talking about platforms, are there any platform right now that you are, being seriously that you think are being seriously is being seriously underestimated, or anything that you're, paying close attention to that the rest of the industry isn't talking about enough?
There's two, maybe 3 areas. Like, we still believe YouTube is a really big opportunity. We're spending a lot of time there helping podcasts grow on YouTube, and that has been a great business for us and for our partners. We've seen a lot of
Yeah.
growth, and I think a lot of people the last 5, 6 years have thought less about YouTube and more about some of these social platforms that are vertical video in nature, because that's where a lot of the brand work went. And I do believe that brand business is coming back to YouTube in a strong in a strong way. So we believe a focus on YouTube is really important. We've always spent time, but we really believe in the connected TV space for creators, and we're having a lot of success there for our clients. So there has been a lot of attention on FAST. FAST can work for creators, but it's very difficult because, well, a lot of reasons, but you need a real deep catalog, which most creators won't have on their own. And then there's like 2 or 3 platforms that drive almost all the viewership and monetization. Launching a new channel on one of these channels requires a real specific marketing approach and marketing strategy.
Yeah.
So that's just something we're always investigating and looking at. And again, we've had a lot of success in CTV, but I think we think about it a lot differently than some of these other places who just want to throw up as many of these fast channels or as much
Yeah.
creator content into that ecosystem as possible. Like it doesn't actually work that way. And then the last thing, we're spending a lot of time on paywalls. And I'm not sure if there are a lot of companies doing that in the way we are, right? We've had a lot of success building our clients' businesses on the Substacks of the worlds and the Patreons of the worlds. And that is, for the last 5-6 years, creators have spent time on that and have been focused on that, but they haven't had support mechanisms.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing is when we can help with things like marketing and pricing support and community building, and in partnership with the creator who's focused on creative and building all the various video and text assets, we can have a huge impact together. So we've just seen it. I mean, every partner that we've taken on in that space has grown like exponentially. So we feel really good about the work that our team is doing and the progress that creators have been seeing in the paywall ecosystem. And that again is, there's like 3 or 4 kind of key platforms that we're working on and evaluating all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick, I know you mentioned that Shorthand is also making a lot of like a real push into original content development, short form and longer form. And I think you just sort of mentioned this earlier in the episode, but why now and what's
Yeah.
behind that bet?
We are really thinking about it as creator and artist first. Like, I think our goal is to help our clients and creators realize creative projects that they weren't able to do themselves, right? So whether that's they need some financing or they need the editorial or editing support, we've actually done that for a long time. Like, we helped kickstart a very successful podcast called 6 Feet Under with The Undertaker. And from the start, we were helping with the editing, we were helping produce it, we were helping, find the studio space. And that was years ago. So we've always had the mission of helping creators realize their kind of creative visions. And we can't partner with everyone, of course, but we take a lot of time and effort to evaluate our clients' projects and creative. And I think you're absolutely right. We're doubling down on that. We want to support more creators in that way, whether
Yeah.
it's physical production, whether it's again the post production, whether it's just the optimization work, creating the thumbnails, creating the titles, helping them actually physically publish that IP. So that's what we're doing. I think one of the reasons why we're doing it, we've had so much success helping our clients monetize their IP and their shows.
Yeah.
So we believe if we can work with great creators who know their audiences, and we all believe in a creative direction, and if we can realize that direction in audience development, then we'll be very well positioned to help them monetize that IP. So we
Right.
are not starting shows and to try to own these things. Like, it's really creator, it's creator led, and it's mostly with our clients. So it's still their project. We just want to help them realize that, and then hopefully help them monetize it in a way that they weren't able to do just
Yeah.
by themselves.
Nick, out of curiosity, and maybe this is useful for any creator that might be listening to this episode. When you're developing original content with a creator, how do you think about what has lasting potential versus what's just going to work in the moment?
That is so hard. I mean, our creative approach is really, today it's like format driven. So we look at ideas and think, can we as a team create this?
Execute.
Yeah, can we execute it once a week, essentially forever? Like, is there enough here that you can create 100 episodes, 200 episodes, 300 episodes? If it's something that is only going to have a runway of 7 episodes or 10 episodes, that's not something that we believe will be real successful on social video platforms. It doesn't mean that it won't be, but it's not something like what we're seeing really work are these formats that you can kind of continue to produce week in and week out. Think of it like a podcast, right? 6, 7 years ago, there was Serial. There was all these podcasts that were seasonal. That's mostly gone away. They and are being produced mostly by big media companies. But the podcast kind of success stories that we see, if you look at the top 10, 20, 30, 50 podcasts, those are weekly shows. So those are formats that, you're able to produce kind of week in, week out. So we think about the same thing for social video development. And we're, of course, like with Ike and Funny You Ask, we are working in the podcast space. So we are doing stuff in long form. We are doing stuff in mid form, that kind of half hour. And then we're absolutely helping our clients execute on short form vertical video formats as well.
Nick, I'd like to focus on the future now, to look ahead for a bit. Tell us what's the unlock that you're most excited about for creators who are willing and ready to make the shift to building something sustainable.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is the opportunities has never been bigger to create IP, and doesn't necessarily mean it's easier. It might be less expensive in the grand scheme of things, but it is an increasingly complicated space. There's different platforms. They all operate a little differently. Audiences are different. I mean, it doesn't make it necessarily easier, but the opportunity is bigger. So we look for creators and clients with passion, with a creative direction. And we believe if if you want to be a content creator and you come with great ideas and are willing to iterate and change and put the time in, that you can really find success in this space. So we're really bullish on, of course, I mean, it's our entire business, but we are really focused on helping creators who are passionate about what they're doing reach new heights, and build sustainable businesses. So I think, stay passionate about what you're doing. Don't be afraid to partner and or hire. If you really want to grow in this ecosystem, I think it is getting increasingly harder to do it by yourself and to do it as one person. And so that's what I would do. I would embrace, those things and stay true to your creativity and keep making content, but spend your time in the most high value places, right? Which again, for a lot of creators is that, coming up with the ideas and executing on those ideas, right? It might not be the editing, it might not be the publishing and posting and the thumbnail design and all those other pieces. So, don't be afraid to partner. And it takes time to build that trust and to create the team that you deserve, but it's absolutely achievable.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, Nick, for advice for any creators listening. You just covered that.
Yeah.
So let me take the last question and ask you if there's any message that you would like to send to the broader industry. Any executive or professional listening to this episode, anything that you would like to say?
I think I'm very lucky to be working in this industry. So I think we should all, count our blessings a little bit. It's a really fun space to work. It is very difficult. It has its challenges, but we work with some of the most creative people on the planet. If you're in the creator economy, you know that. And so I don't think I'm necessarily telling anybody anything new, but we have a really exciting opportunity, a creative opportunity. Again, the kind of business has grown so much. There's real economics on the table for creators and our clients at Shorthand and Underscore. So that's what I would say. I think we're very fortunate to be working in this industry that's grown so fast and it's going to continue to grow. Like it's absolutely not slowing down in any.
And it's a fun and exciting industry to be.
It is. Yeah. And I think you have to embrace change. Like what I'll tell you, my business partners, Reza Zad and Dan Weinstein, have been so great at and so creative at seeing and understanding new businesses and making investments in these new areas. And now we do that collectively at Underscore and Shorthand. So it's all my my partners and my colleagues, but you have to be nimble. You have to be somewhat comfortable with change, and you need to try new things, because if you are playing the same YouTube playbook as 5 years ago or the same Facebook playbook as 5 years ago, I mean, your business is gone to zero, and So you have to be comfortable with the platform changes and the creative changes and the audience changes. But for those who like that, and I think the folks who are succeeding in the creator economy all embrace that, and it's a feature, not a bug, essentially. Anyway, so that's why I'd say.
Thanks
Yeah.
for adding that. I love the how did you put it? Count your blessings part.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
we should all do that, not just in work, but in life in general. But Nick, yeah, this has been a great conversation. Is there anything else? Any final comments? Final thoughts?
This has been really wonderful conversation. I'm really thankful for your time. We're so passionate about what we're doing at Shorthand and at _talent. And I think it's helped lead up to all the successes that we've had, for our clients. And we're going to keep on doing it.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, thanks again for taking the time and chatting with us and sharing your perspective. And to everyone listening, thanks as always for tuning in into the Big Three. We'll be back soon with more conversations and insights from across the creator economy. Talk soon. Bye, Nick.
Bye. Thank you.